Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
Hey,
evening,
Eric. Hey,
everyone.
Marcella.
Good
Hey,
evening.
good
Good
evening.
evening.
So today we are going to talk about entitled attitudes. So, what is an entitled attitude? What is that?
Well, let me read something real quick and then I'll the word entitlement mentality is defined as a sense of deservingness or being owed a favor when little or nothing has been done to deserve special treatment. It's the you owe me attitude. Entitlement is a narcissist personality trait, which we don't know where it came from. But I'm just gonna simplify it, just like it says. It's like mentality, attitude. It means that no, not I'm sorry. Yeah, entitlement attitude. It means that first of all, you feel like you're entitled, and then the attitude kicks in whenever you don't get your way. You a person is so used to having it their way, saying the last word, and it goes that way. And then when they go somewhere and a person don't allow them to get away with such attitude, then it becomes a problem. So they feel like if I've been going to this place and I've been getting away with it this place, I should get away with it everywhere I go. So that's to me that the entitlement attitude is just like what it says. You feel like you're entitled and you get an attitude when you can't get your way.
Okay, Eric.
Yeah,
What's your definition?
going on what she said, first is the entitlement syndrome, and the attitude comes in when you don't get your way. Okay, prime example: when we go walking every day. There's enough space for cars to go by. It means at a park, cars to go by, but it's like you can see the look on some people's face when they see us walking, like, why are they walking here and I'm driving? There's enough space on the road for both of us to pass by each other. It's a slow speed going through there anyway. So it's like, and then what I tell people, just because a person doesn't respond to you when you have a little temper tantrum, don't mean they're afraid of you, don't mean that you can keep doing it. That you're just not worth their time. Well, then the attitude comes in that is, like she said, because you did it. Mario let me get away with it, so let me go to Seller house. Seller let me do it, let me go to Mario house. So the attitude come in and where you don't get to have your way. Well, you can't do that here. We don't allow that here. And the reason why it's entitlement attitude is because it's always the entitled people with the attitude.
Well, I think my definition is entitled. Entitled attitude is when you think you deserve something that technically is not a norm. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like a norm is like, okay, you expect when you go anywhere, you expect good customer service. Um, some people don't understand what the word mean. Good can be just okay. You get the basic service, but like if you like, I know I was just watching a thing earlier today about how this lady had to down serve 2 months serving 2 months serving working at a fast food restaurant because she threw some food in one of the service like places. And I sat back and watched this thing where she felt as though it wasn't. She now keep in mind she didn't taste the food. She just looked at it and felt that it wasn't up to par. So she felt like she can just get away with just throwing it in this woman's face. That's extreme entitled
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
when you expect something and when you don't get your way, you throw up extreme temper tantrum about it. And
Mm-hmm.
in today's society, it's starting to become a norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's starting to become a norm, and I think that's one of the things that um, I'm like what caused this? Like did I mean you remember back in the day the motto for Burger King was "Have it your way."
Mm-hmm.
I think about that. I say, yeah, I think they messed up right there. Is when you say you can have it your way because that means that can mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
I want my burger split in half with some pickles on the side. You can be a little bit of everything. So you have to be careful how you market yourself because some people come in and think they're entitled to that.
And another one too, Mario. I believe that the customer is always right slogan. It came from a bad customer. I really feel like a bad customer made up that the customer is always right because that's going back to entitlement behavior as well. Customers are not always right. You understand what I'm saying? They're not. And for us to continue to have that policy, it's like you're just giving me the room to act how I want to act, do how I want to do what I want to do, because I am the customer. And I done heard people say customer's always right. And that is not true, because you have some customers that comes in just to cause ruckus, just so they can get a free meal. You know what I'm saying? Just so they can, it's like they try to use that to their advantage. And I think that the customer is not always right. It's not. So the have it your way Burger King slogan too, I think they messed up when they said have it your way, customers is always right. You know what I'm saying? They're not always right. No one is always right anyway. And
well,
what's it, Mark?
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no one is always right anyway. And so, like I said again, like you said, the entitlement behavior. It's like we can also go as far as saying that because I have money, my money should, what I'm saying, my money can make you have an entitlement behavior. Entitlement attitude as well, because they feel like because I have money, I can walk in front of the line. You know what I'm saying? I can get away with certain things that you can't because I have money. And then, like you said, when you have that one person that'll put them in their place and let them know that, hey, I don't know where you've been getting away with it, but you can't get away with it here. So that's when the attitude comes in. You know what I'm saying? Then you'll say, well, you don't know who I am. Like a lot of the spouses, like when we were stationed in Alaska, me and one of my neighbors we became real close friends. We went to the PX one day, and the line was like really long. And so we was all standing in line waiting on our turn. And so an officer wife, she thought that she was able to just jump in front of everybody, Mario. So my girlfriend said she was like, ma'am, the line is back there. She was like, well, you don't know who my husband is. She said, and you don't know who my husband is either. He Sergeant Thornburg, da 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 da. She said, it don't matter. She said, you ain't in the military. Get your behind in the back of the line. And so she was like, I never. And she stomped out. She walked out the store. Everybody just started clapping, black and white. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you're using your husband's rank as if though you can treat other soldiers or other military spouses a certain type of way because your husband is a 4-star or maybe he's a captain or whatever the case may be. Anytime they have officer on their shirt, it doesn't matter if it's a first lieutenant, second lieutenant. As long as it says officer, they feel like they can just get it. They have that entitlement attitude.
Well, I think that when you talk about military rank, that's not like, and to a degree, if you abuse it, then they have the attitude. But in some cases, the rank itself, it's a custom that comes with the rank.
I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off, but only I feel like, Mario, if that spouse is with that soldier that's in uniform, you're not
right. That's what I'm about to say. Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Is that
that's the rule.
There's a difference to where. That's how I'm about to break it down to where it's a difference to where if I'm wearing my uniform, there's certain entitlement that comes with that rank that's on my chest.
Yeah.
So that's a norm. But like in the past, I know way back in the days, that was really a bad thing, was where a lot of spouses did abuse the power or that entitlement to that rank for their own personal agendas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because she was by herself.
Right. And see, that's where, like, back in the days, you don't really see, like, nowadays you don't see. I mean, I know we're both retired. We don't have anything, but I know when I go close to retirement, I didn't really see that a lot. I mean, every now and then you'll hear about one person doing it, but you don't see it as much. No. And just like you were saying, most people that fall into that category of having entitled type attitudes are your rich or famous people, your politicians. Those individuals abuse, in some cases, not all, but some will abuse their popularity or their position to be entitled to things that they should not be entitled to.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem we have with today's society, is you got, like, the thing is they get caught up out there because they go out here and they'll do some stuff, criminal activities, and then when they get them handcuffs and they locked up, they're like, oh, I thought I was entitled to do this stuff. They have this puzzled look on their face when people hold them accountable. And I mean, just recently I had a situation where one of the council members felt like he was untouchable, and guess what? He got touched last week. So I mean, those are the type of things that people have to understand. Is just because you're in a position doesn't mean that you have you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
And with any of this, the entitlement attitude comes consequences. See, just because you got away with it here, don't mean you should go do it everywhere. Because everybody ain't gonna let you throw no food in their face. What if she reach across there and snatch you up? You know what I'm saying? You threw that in her face. Why would you do that? Would you want it thrown in your face? No. The answer is no. You wouldn't want it thrown in your face. So why would you do it to her? What if she reached back to what love got to do with it and slap you across your face? So now you're a victim? No, you're not the victim and the villain. So you have to check yourself before you leave the house. Check yourself. Do an internal review, and then go out into the world, because everybody's not gonna turn a blind eye to your entitled attitude. Everybody's not gonna do it. You might show up at the wrong time and meet Mario
Or Marcella.
and then see now you're like, oh, I don't have a problem with you. Yes, you did. You saying you don't have a problem with me because I confronted you.
Right.
It didn't have to be like this. Just don't. And it's like, you see examples every day. Like, you got certain people that the cashier will say $12.15. So you'll put the money on the counter and the change and pick it all up, and then you hold your hand out for them to put it in your hand. No, if you gave it to me, if I was the cashier and you slid your money on the counter, then guess what I'm gonna do? When I give you your change, I'm gonna slide it on the counter. So, like us, what we do, if they tell us what the money is, we have cash, we hand it to them in their hand. They take it and they give us our change in their hand. It's an entitled attitude. You can't say, well, this is the reason why I put it on the counter. Well, guess what? You took it from her hand. So why? And then you be sitting there looking crazy if she said, well, why did you put my change on the counter? Because that's what you gave it to me on the counter. Well, I've never. Okay. See, you have to understand that everybody is not gonna turn the other cheek. Everybody ain't there.
I think also too, where the entitlement behavior continues. Let's just use the like you said, the lady that food was thrown in her face, right? So let's just say maybe me or you, Mario. Well, just whatever. What if the lady would have retaliated, like my husband said, and she would have just jumped on her? The people that was with her, instead of them telling her that she was wrong, they would have all probably tried to jump on the server that defended herself against the young lady that threw the food in her face. So that's another reason why entitlement behavior also continue on, because they're around a bunch of people that accept that. That approves that you know what I'm saying, that continue to allow them to get away with it and not call them on that mess right there. So it's gonna be a continuous thing that goes on with certain people, because they're not around the people that are gonna correct them. It's like if we're friends, and so if we don't agree with each other, we're supposed to be able to correct each other without it being a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's what people that really care about you, that's how they hold you accountable. But when you're around someone and you allow them to continue that behavior, that's why it's not gonna stop, because it's accepted. That's why they do it. When they try to go to every place they try to go to, that's why they do it, because they hang around people that accept this behavior. Hey, Tish.
Hey, Tish.
Hey.
Well, it's like going back, and then like I said, think about the comedian that got his butt kicked. That was entitled behavior. I mean, entitled attitude. He thought he was going to be able to sit there and talk all that trash, and thought he was going to get away with it because he thought he was entitled to be able to talk crap. Like, my thing is, there's a difference between you're performing and you're a comedian, but then when you do a personal attack against somebody, it's extreme. I mean, did y'all see the video footage? Of the comedian? It was. Yes, I guess it happened last week.
I did.
He was talking a lot of trash.
The Charles guy. Yes. Oh, we
And
saw
Do
it.
a flower pot.
which one? Yeah,
The
he
one
hit
that
him. Hit
put
the dude with a flower pot.
Yeah. I know.
I
Yeah,
didn't see
saw
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy. So I mean, it's like you getting yourself, put yourself in a position to where you think you're entitled to get away with things, and that's where things go wrong for a lot of people. Is when you
Yeah.
think you're going to do something. It's just like if you put your hands in anybody's face or you put your hands on somebody, you automatically should know you're about to get your butt kicked.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
I mean,
you heard
that's
them in the background, Mario. They said, you picked the wrong neighborhood tonight to come to. Did you hear that in the background when they said it?
Here's the thing, because you just dug a hole for yourself. If that flower pot contacted any part of your body, now you can come weeks later saying, "Oh, my neck. Oh, my back." And see, now you can sit there and say, "Well, ain't nothing wrong with him." How do you know? You threw the, did you or did you not throw the flower pot? The answer is yes.
Yep.
And he did the microphone. He hit him with the
And
microphone.
then when you look at the video, the flower pot did contact the part of the body that he said is hurting him. You got to pay, player. When all you had to do was be cooler.
Yeah.
Cooler heads prevail. Be cooler than the situation. But you chose not to. Why? Because entitlement. You think because you made a name for yourself, that means that you're able to do certain things. We all got names.
right.
We all have names. Do that entitle you to? No. Because it's going to come back to
Bless
bite you.
you.
Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry, y'all.
Sooner or later, it's gonna come back to bite you. It's gonna happen.
Tisha, what is your definition of entitled attitude?
Boy. Always, if you're not right, then everybody else is wrong. And nobody can say anything to you without it being a problem. Or you feel everybody should do for you, show up for you, and then it's not reciprocated. Because I've dealt with a lot of those people in my life, family, friends, or foe, where they feel like no matter, I think I posted this a few weeks ago. It doesn't matter how you're really doing as long as you can show up for them. And so to me, that's entitled, feeling like people have to give you time, a lack of gratitude. I'm grateful for people taking the time to talk with me and pour into me. I don't want you to just agree with me. I want you to present opposition because that's how you grow.
Yes.
I just had a situation today. Someone called me about their child and their college, and I was trying to explain that degrees are great. I don't have a problem with people getting degrees, but that is not the end all be all. And this generation of children are going back and realizing that they would rather have their time back than to be career students. Somebody along the line, but then this person called me back with this entitled attitude and said I was being negative. If my opinion, and I'm out here recruiting in the real world, is showing me that what we were taught, it was not wrong in that season. That's what we needed to be doing, but things have shifted. If you're not going to school for medical or something cybersecurity or AI or computer related, you don't really have to, you can really get those jobs without all those degrees, or if you're not in education. Because when you're in school for education, it does require you to have certain degrees in order to move up in certain pay scales. But I was just telling this young person, don't have an entitled attitude. Go Google, go look up what jobs may be not around in 20, 25 years. Because you got to look at that now, because so much stuff is changing with AI. And so that entitlement theory of going, and that's an entitlement mindset too. I went to school, I got a degree, therefore I deserve. No, you still got to work. You still got to have people skills. You still have to be accountable. And I think a lot of people, when they went and got all these degrees, got these entitlement mindsets as well.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't do their research, because anything, so much as a doctor, what you got to do? Certification. What you got to do as a pharmacist? Certification.
Certification.
What you got to do? You got to get a certification, because the be all end all ain't the college degree. That's just a start. Once you get that degree, you still got to get certified.
Yep.
So doctors, what is it? The American Doctors Association, something like that. You have to be certified, otherwise they're gonna come shut you down. Whether it be pharmacists, whether it be nurses, you still have to get a certification. That's what's important.
Continuing education. Continue
to hell with the degree. Are you certified? Are you certified to do this? What certifications do you have? So it's sad, but true. A lot of things that people do, it breeds the entitlement. Just like you said before, I got a college degree, so you need to do this. You can't tell me nothing.
Right.
Yes, I can. See, we have to be. You don't be accepting of somebody's behavior. You want to be that person that can correct that behavior. Okay, this is good. However, you should be doing this, or no, don't do that. Don't just accept it. Yeah, we're gonna go turn up and get drunk again and not know how we got home. That's crazy. That's crazy. And that's where the entitlement comes in. An entitled person is an accepting person. Not a person that's gonna tell you the truth. An entitled person is an accepting person, and birds of a feather flock together. That's who they gonna want.
Because I was saying,
because an entitled person tells you, I'm sorry, Marcella, an entitled person told me today, well, when you go get degrees from these no-name schools, if a school is accredited, it doesn't matter what the name of it is.
Do your research.
Wow.
That's the biggest. You don't worry about the name of the school. You worry about the accreditation. And
do they have the credentials? If it's accredited, it doesn't matter if it's Ohio State. It doesn't matter when you're getting hired. Nobody's looking at that. And that's the part where that's the part where I see we as Black people, we've allowed credentials, degrees, and jobs to separate us even further.
Yeah.
And then we feel like I'm entitled to be able to say that because I went to said school and you went to a school online. That's another entitlement mindset. But most people don't see it that way. They'll overlook that and say and downplay themselves. I am a proud graduate of the University of Phoenix. I did not go online. I went in person. And I worked hard for my degree. I am tired of us discrediting each other with the entitlement mindsets too. I don't know if y'all have experienced that, but entitled people constantly discredit other people and their efforts.
And that's what I say. Most of the time, entitled people, they will spend more time discrediting people versus uplifting people.
Yeah.
But you deal with it less if you don't deal with those type of people. Because see, the people in our circle are people that uplift other people as well as we uplift each other. So if Tisha bought her fleet of Escalades, I'm gonna say congratulations, have at it. Ain't no need of hating on her because we ain't make the payments. Those are her cars.
Right.
Okay, Mario, you open up your third disco. Hey, I'm proud of you, bro. Because I ain't got to deal with it. Those are the people that I hang around with. So I don't deal with the entitled people as much. There are few, if you notice, there are few and far between.
Yep.
What you hang with is what you're going to deal with.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying. What you hang with is what you're going to have to deal with.
And also too, Tish, before you came on, I was throwing out some examples, and I said financial money is also one reason too why people have entitlement attitudes, because you just take even like children coming out of high school, or even children that's still in high school, anybody that has rich family members and stuff like that, they can go out here and they can do something, and they feel like because their parents has the money to continuously bail them out, they feel like they can continue the entitlement behavior. They can continue on that the same thing that they're doing because of the money. And a lot of people that has money too, they do have that entitlement attitude. You know what I'm saying?
But we don't help none as a society because we allow it.
We worship those people.
Well, since
Well, some people worship them people. I don't worship them people, but
Yeah.
some people.
I don't, but a lot of people
Uh,
do. The vast
Yeah.
majority do. I could care less about a celebrity.
Perfect
I care
example.
more about what's going on with somebody who I can touch their life right now.
Like
It's a perfect example.
like when the judge said, well, since you graduated from Stanford, then these charges that she bringing against you, it ain't gonna mean nothing because you're a Stanford graduate. And now he's sitting on the sideline wondering why he can't practice law no more. I'm just saying that it has consequences, and it ain't gonna be the kind that you like.
And my role model was always my mom. My role model was never a star, never a celebrity, never. And when I hear kids say that, like my role model has always been the woman that raised me to make me
the person that
I
got
am
your back.
today. That's what my role model was. What were you saying, Mario?
I was just saying, but like a perfect example is you take somebody who's been in a position. Hey, Stacy.
Hey, Stacy.
Hello,
Hey, Stacey.
Stacey.
You take a person that's been in a position and it abuses their power. And I think those right now are the ones we see all the time in the news. Is a person that's in a position to where they feel like, so like, for example, just because you are the president's child doesn't mean you can't get arrested.
Yes.
And
You're
I mean,
not the
and I say it for both sides because it's going on for the Democrats and the Republicans.
Yeah.
Where we just had two presidents, one who's in president now and one that was president, where they thought they can get away with stuff, and now they're actually having to face up to the music. But their entitled attitudes, that they have, is that they feel as though they should be untouchable. The people that come with those type of attitudes to where they feel like they can't be touched, they're finding out that, hey, you getting touched in 2023, and you're definitely gonna get touched in 2024. And I think that's what it is, because I mean, my own personal encounter. Like I said, you had a city council person. I sent an email to everybody on city council, except for this one individual. This one individual somehow gets the email and gonna write back and try to like intimidate me in a sense. And then I was like, okay, well, because he's talking about something. Well, I can't, like, technically in short terms, he can't be touched. Well, God has a way of letting people know you can be touched, because the very next week his name was listed in a lawsuit or in a thing, and then guess what? The city had to pay $200,000 because of his behavior.
Ooh.
So you just got touched. So you thought you was entitled, but guess what? You just got touched. So you're like, and that's what I say. Don't put yourself, don't abuse your position.
Yeah.
But so many people do though, and it's not just in the political aspect. You see it in everyday life. If I know that I'm burnt out in my position, I'm gonna do one or two things. I'm gonna take extra training to figure out, hey, what can I do to make things more interesting? I'm gonna look for better ways. I think me and Marcella was having this conversation. Most people are bosses, they're not leaders.
That's right.
And so what we're seeing even in the political realm is a bunch of people who should have never been in those authoritative, powerful positions. For one, they weren't even handling their own personal business correctly.
Absolutely.
Let alone to go run a nation. And just because somebody fell up under somebody else that was a leader well doesn't mean that they're going to lead well. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Right. We're starting to see more and more of people abusing their power. And I think that's the problem, is that we need to start calling these people out. We need to put them in check. We need to let them know that reality is real. We need to let them know that, look, just because you have money, just because you have, doesn't mean you can get away with stuff. You think about all the things that people do, and you be like wondering what makes them think that they can't be touched. What makes them think that they can get away with this crime? I mean, you have people like back in the days, if you was rich, if you was famous, or if you held a certain position, then you felt like, like what was it? There have been a couple of times where they show that where the woman and children got pulled over, and she tried to use the fact that her husband was a judge, or and I like that. I was just like, because you're in a position doesn't mean you're that you can violate laws.
Well, look at what just happened to that actor Jonathan Major. He sat up there and, you know, whatever he did with this lady, whether he abused her or not, who knows? But you got video showing this lady chasing you through the city. Y'all ain't just got to that place. Now
Nope.
you done lost all your contracts and stuff, and you want the community to feel sorry for you. No, where were you when you was on top of the world? Supposedly, allegedly. You know what I mean? So now again, you want to do the OJ, I call it, and come back to the black community and say, oh, I'm being falsely or wrongly accused because I'm black. Everything isn't a black or white issue either. Some things is your own issue, your own arrogance, your own pride got you in that situation.
Yeah.
And if he was smart, instead of deny, that goes to show he felt entitled. I've arrived. No, you're still black. You would have pressed charges against her too. Because obviously in that video, she was chasing you.
Or
So-
just like everybody else do and just settle.
Right.
What's it gonna cost to make you go away?
Yeah.
Boom.
Because that's
Do it,
all
do
it
it.
boiled down to.
Settle with an NDA.
Yep.
And, see, and that's another thing too is that most people think that because you have money, you can buy your way out of trouble too. That like okay, like I'll give you, here you go, here's $1,000 to go somewhere and play. I mean, today's society has gotten really bad. I mean, now I will say this, it's gotten better in a sense because now we're calling people out.
Right.
Now we have cameras. See, back in the 60s and 70s and the 80s and 90s, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have cameras, we didn't have the capability to show people who they really are. Now you had some people, I remember, that will go on and say stuff and wouldn't think nothing of it. I'm not sure if y'all remember where the doctor went on and said that some news lady looked like a prostitute.
Yeah.
Because of what she wore and everything and so forth. And had the nerve to put his signature block on the email when he sent it.
Yep.
Yep.
And then they called him out on it.
Yep.
Well, see,
So
the issue I see is yes, it's coming out, but the trending thing is no consequences. There's got to be if you call them out, then consequences has to follow that. There's no point to put Mario on trial several times for impeachment and nothing comes out of it.
right.
That's a waste of my time and his too. You have to have consequences to your actions. And nowadays, I'm gonna agree. Yeah, I did it. We're gonna set out of court,
When also,
sign a non-disclosure agreement, go about your business.
it's also based on who it is, because like you said, with like our former president, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the things that he has done is still doing. Why is he able to still run for presidency? You understand what I'm saying? But then, you know, that's why I say that entitlement, the entitlement attitude comes with who's ever able to make these decisions, who's ever in charge, who likes you the most, who has the most money. But this person can get away with it, and we all know they wrong. We see they wrong. We can actually see it. But this person, because you don't have the money or the backing or the people, then okay, now you're gonna have to deal with your consequences. So that entitlement attitude comes with a whole lot of different things. And we can also use it too as like when we go out in public, like going to like customer service. Like if you go into a Subway and you know maybe the manager is having a bad day, you tell her that, ma'am, I didn't ask for that, Instead of her diffusing the situation or listening to reason, she'll tell me to get out her store because now she don't want to deal with me because she don't know how to deal with me. So therefore, the entitlement attitudes come in is because of the fact that because she's managing that store, she feels like she has the right to tell me that, oh, you're gonna leave my store. And a lot of times the entitlement attitude make other businesses lose a whole lot of money because based on the people that they have working for them. So she felt entitled because the fact that she's the manager of Subway, that's not your store, but you felt like I can say I can do however I want to do because I'm the manager. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
Well,
and also
Mario dropped off, but did you
yeah,
read what
yeah,
Stacy just put on
yeah,
there? I encountered a homeless folks during outreach. At the time, they feel entitled to my services. Let me explain. Just because I have free shoes to give you doesn't mean I'm still going to give them to you if you disrespect me. I will only work as hard for you as you work for yourself. And
yes,
I think the key thing to that is we have to remember everybody that's homeless isn't homeless by default.
yes.
Sometimes they're homeless because of the entitlement
The
attitude,
entitlement. Yep.
Yes,
not
that's
willing
true.
to get help, um, and resistant to help, or like she's saying, rude and nasty to you when
Yes.
you're trying to offer help. So think about, I know for me, I've got some people, in my family that are
Yes. Right.
mentally ill, and it was very difficult to deal with them because they felt like we should have to do these things for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I honestly agree with Stacy. A respect, even if you're homeless, you still gotta respect me. I'm trying to help you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Or you get into the entitled people who say you think you're better than them. And
Oh,
I'm learning to say I am better than that situation.
yeah, me too.
Well,
And
see,
I
well,
think
that's the difference. You say you better in that situation, not that
Right.
person. See, they're
No, not the
looking,
person, the situation.
right.
they're
Yeah,
looking for you to say
I'm better than
you're
you.
better than you, so they can
No.
keep on arguing. And
Yep.
see, the biggest problem with an entitled attitude or a person that's entitled is one word: change.
Change. Yep.
They will not change, which is why
No.
the politics is broken, which is why the government is broken. You will have a person holding a slot
Yep.
till they're 96 years old.
Yep.
What is the point? You can't barely lift your hand, much less a gavel.
Yep.
But entitled, I want that. I want that spot.
Well, I die.
So I
Well,
want
we
that
create
spot.
entitled people
Yeah,
create rules so that they can remain
to
entitled.
remain entitled, and
That's
that's why.
why. Yep.
Yeah, and that's where the change come in. They refuse to change. That's why they
Yep.
don't want no fresh eyes on it. That's why they don't want new people to come in. I want to I want to keep it like this so I can stay entitled, so I can keep doing what I'm doing, even though it's wrong or this, that, and the third. Because I guarantee you that person that was part of that 200 grand, he ain't learned his lesson.
Well, I'm like, even with Stacy, with like the homeless people, when she was just saying that part too, that the entitlement there comes in too, so that they can stay, like you said, in their situation, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, for the most part, all they trying to say is, "This is my situation. I'm gonna be mean to this lady so that I can say nobody tried to help me."
Mm-hmm.
And then that way I have an excuse
Keep it
to
going.
say, right.
And I
Because
think
most people are looking for an excuse to stay like they are.
a lot of people, and I think that's what it is. It's like a mental imprisonment that they
Hmm.
put themselves in. They put themselves in a position to where they're allowing their pride to override what's right and wrong. They're allowing themselves, and I mean, and I like with Stacy, I've seen it. I mean, I think she's absolutely right. You go out here and you help some homeless people, they come in, and I think Marcel, I think you when we did that One Faith in Action, I think you kind of witnessed that a little bit, where a
Mhm.
man came in and was very like, here it is, we're giving out items, and he was trying to be like, oh, that's all y'all got. I mean, like, I'm like, wow. I mean, I like, and what
Wow.
Stacey said, that's true. That
Mhm.
that is so true. That, and I me personally, I would be humble.
Yes. And then Mario, and then you remember, like, even like you said, they're giving out certain items, and then they didn't have a certain type of food that he wanted. Oh, I can't eat that. And we was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Because they didn't
Right.
even have to do that. Nothing. They didn't have to have a hot grill going or anything.
That was the hot dog situation. I remember that where
Yes.
the beef
And
hot dog versus
he
the
wanted
pork hot dog.
beef hot dogs instead of pork hot.
How
And
you
I was
hungry?
like, I was like, oh my God. He's like, oh, I can't eat. Oh, it ain't beef. But the last time they had beef, she said, well, sir, this is different people making the hot dog. It was somebody else that did the beef. We ain't got
right,
beef. We got
it was a
pork.
church that the last Faith in Action we did. It was a church that did it. And
I
what
was
Stacy
like,
just said is like so true. She said, Stacy said, I think the entitlement in the homeless community comes from folks just giving out items and not doing any follow up, no accountability. And she is
yeah,
absolutely right. If you don't set up like, and I think that's one of the biggest problems. I mean, I'm just now going through this now where I'm learning so much about the homeless population within our community, there's two sides to it. And
Yeah.
the thing is, you can't judge every person. You can't put them all in the same category.
Exactly.
There's no way you can do that. With a homeless
Yes.
population, you have to understand the person, and you have to understand their situation.
Mhm.
Every situation is different. Some people put themselves; they want to be homeless.
Mhm.
Yes.
You got some that are doing
Yep.
everything possible, and they're possible to change things.
Yep.
And the accountability, and I think that's the thing, is that you'll have those individuals, like you said, you'll have some individuals that they know they're entitled to this because they're on the side of the street with a sign saying I need help. So they're entitled. They're kind of like wanting you that you should give them money just because they're out there.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, and it goes a little bit further too, if you want to look at it from another perspective, when we have people and we have these nonprofits that support people that have been released from prison and those type of things, and we put them back into situations as well where we give them jobs. What we don't understand is, yeah, but you're putting that responsibility on a business owner to now micromanage someone that's been in prison 15, 16, 20 years. So they come out with a prison mentality, which is a different level of entitlement, because now they're feeling like I did my time, I did my crime, I did my time, I deserve an opportunity. But they have to be reacclimated back into society,
Mhm.
into a place where they can function. And
Yeah.
that's where that part too, because a lot of people who are homeless are our felons, people who have records, because they're unable to get jobs. And then they're not able to properly function back in society because they're missing some of the basic tools. So I think in some of our nonprofit help, are we really helping, or are we hindering and enabling? Are we creating a bigger problem by creating entitlement mentality? I'm out. This is your program. This is what you're supposed to do. But I agree with Stacy. You got to really back into the accountability piece, because you don't get to go to the job and terrorize the employer either. You know. Oh, she said it's mental
Oh, that's
issues.
Chris.
That's
Chris.
Chris.
That's Chris.
Due to their circumstances, relationship hardships, some get bitter or self-centered in survival mode that need some love, y'all. They will break they will break consistent love.
And that's something that, and what he's saying is absolutely right, is that
Yeah.
each person, and that's why I've learned, like even when coming up, and see, Eric, you can relate with this. When we deal with soldiers, we have to deal with each and every. We can't just put all the soldiers in one thing and call them soldiers. Each individual is different. And then, like in this situation, when you're dealing with the homeless, it's almost the same thing. You have to understand each and every one of them. You have to understand exactly what it is that they're doing.
Yeah,
But here's the thing too, though, y'all. Listen, even though you're doing it, you can follow up and stuff. But what is that person? How did they get there? Well, everybody can't just go get a job. That's what I'm saying. I realized recently with the staffing agency that I was working for, a lot of the people that were on the street because they had felonies and they couldn't just get jobs. So are we creating resources beyond just giving them a meal today? What are you doing to help them beyond just, you know?
And I think that's what the county right here I can speak on the county part here in Cumberland County is the goal is to rehabilitate and get, and the thing is what they're trying to do is they're trying to build this facility that's going to be able to house them, and then Fayetteville Tech Community College is going to help rehabilitate them to be able to reintroduce them back into society. And I think that's one of the things that's missing. And I mean, there's a lot of, don't get wrong, there are nonprofits that are out here that are working with people who are just now getting out of prison, and they're doing those same programs. But the thing is, a person has got to have to want help.
Want to do it, yep.
And that is sometimes is where what Chris is saying is that, you know, it's a mental, because like when you go through a mental episode, like, I mean, when you go through being in a homeless state and you've been in a homeless state for a long period of time, it mentally messes you up.
Yeah.
It takes you a second. I know, like for me, I look at the fact that when I finally, In my situation, when I got rescued and I finally got the chance to go live with my father, to be able to go somewhere and there's always food available, that was a culture shock for me. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to take that. And so it's like when you go through survival mode of being homeless, and then you're able to now you're part of society all over again, you really have a hard time adapting to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at like
survival mode, period.
Yeah, when you have to go from survival mode to just living, it is a mental crossover that will tear you apart if you don't have the right people to help you.
That's right.
No, you didn't get us off track, Stacey.
No, because
they do. Well, right, because like Mario said, he went into survival mode.
Right.
Oh no, she's fine. She's not.
Yeah, Stacey, you're adding to that. I mean, I love what you're saying.
Yeah, because those people are in a different mindset.
Yeah, and I think too, like even let's just say, like even with the homeless community, like someone said that I was talking to, they said that homeless is it's a choice, but she said it as far as a choice, like everybody that's homeless on the streets is a choice. I said that's not true. You know what I'm saying? That's not a true statement. I don't believe that's a true statement. And just think about the ones that, like you said, we need programs for them when they're coming out of prison. But think about a lot of the guys that was wrongfully in prison and they had to spend that many years in prison. They coming out, they have that prison mentality as well, and they was in prison for a crime that they didn't even commit. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like when you dealing with an entitlement attitude, because I dealt with that too as well, like you said, like with the homeless community, because I love helping them and stuff like that. It's like some they have like, it's like if you're giving out things and stuff like that, some of them had this attitude where, no, I don't want that. You need to go get me this. And I know one of them asked me one time, we was downtown by the library. We was doing a whole lot of stuff down there, me and Dr. Carey. And one of the families, they asked me, can I get their van fixed? And I was like, no, we're not gonna come back. You know, we're not coming back with money to get your van fixed. But she was, and her attitude was like really nasty. It was her son, they had 4 dogs, and she was like, well, I need my van fixed. Can you, and I was like, well, ma'am, I'm not gonna be able to do that. I said, but I can bring you back socks and toiletry stuff. And so she didn't want that. She wanted money. And I was like, I don't got no money. You know what I'm saying? And I would never, financially give out money to, I would give them things that they need. Because, a lot of times, and it's like, if you do decide to give $1, $2, or $3 or $4, it's like, whatever you do with that money, that's on you. It's like, I did my part. You understand what I'm saying? Some people's like, well, they just want it for certain things. If it's on your heart to give someone standing on the corner that's holding a sign a $5 bill and they go buy alcohol or maybe drugs with it, you still did your part. It's not about.
And I think that's the thing, is like what Chris is just saying also is I agree with him, is that level one, and this is one of the things I say right now, we're just now getting to the point where as a community, we're only providing like level one support. Level one support is just survival.
Basic
survival.
Basic needs.
We're not looking at the mental health. And I mean, I look at like, for example, we were homeless for 3 years. As five of us as children, we were homeless. And the reason why we were homeless was because my mom had she would have had a mental breakdown and was mentally ill. That mental illness is a crucial part of why people act the way they do. I mean, and I think that's the part, was that when you go through a transition of, here it is, you're living a good life, and now you're out here living a homeless life. You're in survival mode.
Yep.
It's a survival mode and entitlement are completely two different things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that, like, entitlement, I believe is something completely, because survival mode, I'm gonna tell you this: you don't care what people think, you don't care what people think, you don't say anything. And I think that's the part that people need to understand, is that survival mode, you will do anything in your power just to make it to the next day. If you're hungry,
no matter if it's a beef or
you're not thinking about society, you're not thinking about society's rules or guidelines. You're thinking about, okay, I'm hungry, I need to get something to eat.
That's right.
But you don't care if it's a beef or a pork hot
Right.
dog. You trying to eat.
Now, if you're hungry, now
You
the
know.
key thing is a difference where when you're hungry, that's something different. And I think that's the problem. Like, I mean, I know I look back then, I couldn't tell you if it was beef, pork, or if it was real. I mean, it just all I
was
wanted
food.
was something to eat. It was something that was
Right.
food.
Yeah.
And so, like what Marcel was saying is that we was out there, and some people will come out there and they'll have that attitude. And the first thing to come to my mind is see me because I've been there as a child, so I automatically understand that mental breakdown. I understand that what that thing that's in there, because once you go through that process, and I say it all the time, it's a difference in life when you're surviving.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When you're living, then you have those that feel entitled to things.
Yes.
When you're in survival mode,
Yeah.
all you're trying to do is make it from day to day.
Yep.
Make it from day to day.
You're not really
Mhm.
you're not really entitled. You're just trying to survive, and you can care
Oh,
less
yeah.
about people's attitudes, what they say, what they don't say,
As long as they helping.
as long as they're helping.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And just because, and I agree with the mental health part, because when my brother was going through his mental health breakdown, I did a lot of research back in the 60s, 50s, even the early 70s. We had a lot of mental health institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we don't have that support system anymore where you can just, if somebody is, because there's a difference between me having a mental health crisis and me having, like you're saying, a meltdown. There's nowhere to send these people anymore. And if you look at schizophrenic, if you look up schizophrenic bipolar, it states when you research it that most of those people end up homeless, because when they're having their manic or their episodes, they're not in reality. They think everybody's against them. So when we're approaching them on the street, although we mean well, they're not comprehending that we're approaching to help sometimes, because if they're in that manic mindset, like my brother had this mindset that everybody, the government was talking through everybody. And if you were saying certain things to him, that was the government trying to get a hold of him and do something to him, because he wasn't in his right mind. And so even when they're homeless like that, and we just bring them a burger or a hot dog, what we could be viewing as entitlement, even though we were trying to help my brother, it was really because he was having a manic episode. So he wasn't grateful or responsive for any of the things that we were trying to do, even though we were trying to help him. Where it gets tough is he had to end up homeless, you all, for us to even get him help. As long as we were in the picture, he couldn't get the help he needed. The system is broken,
Yeah,
completely broken. And so when he was saying that part, Chris, about the mental health, he's absolutely correct. There's nowhere to send these people without them getting to the point of being homeless to actually finally somewhat get some help.
And I think that's one of those things that, like, and that's one of the things I'm learning as I'm like working with the community, is like, I look at Durham. I look at the way Durham is set up, is they have response teams that are actual professionals of helping people with mental crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at how their safety office is set up, and it's designed to go out and help people that have these issues. That's the thing that I would love to see across the board, is that, I mean, besides sending the police out to handle mental crisis, that, man, no, what's wrong? A lot of the police are not trained to deal with a lot of
they're not.
Like, we're not trained. And so when we go out here and we're doing things to support the community, those are things that people have to be understand. Because, like, what's going on now is you have so many people. Like, we got 2,000 nonprofits in Fayetteville, over 2,000. And with that 2,000, how many are properly trained to be able to go out and work with people that do have mental crisis or mental issues that are going on with them? And then I want to highlight these two remarks real quick too. So, like, Stacy said, just because you don't have anything doesn't mean you shouldn't have choices. But don't be asking for no apple pie after I just brought you 2 double Whoppers, a fry, and a large milkshake. no, ma'am, the apple pie is too much. I mean, and she's she's absolutely right. And then Chris, what he wrote, I'm going to write what Chris, what he was saying is just yes, when people are in poverty, they, excuse me, they can't focus and may spiral down. And he's absolutely right. Homeless
Mm-hmm.
kids can't learn in school. Homeless adults don't have good relations, and battle of depression, judgment, outcasts. Another common issue is that they have family or support to help this. And
Yeah.
he's right about that. I mean, I can relate to
Yeah.
all what he's saying.
Yeah.
Then it says, right, then he wrote, right, mental health will help to cure homelessness. We're just trying to provide services on some humanitarian vibe. I hope we can get nonprofits, government, and mental care help to come all together. And I mean, and he's absolutely right, because that's what
And that's the problem.
what Durham is doing. I think Durham is pretty much one of the main ones that's leading the way. Is Durham has been there? I think they've been up their stuff has been in. Let's see, Chris, I just love you, brother. We could end homeless if we could get those services to all. And I agree. And I want people to, what we're talking about, just so people understand this, is I want you to go look at what Durham is doing. What Durham is doing with their safety office. What Durham has done is they're doing a pilot program where they got these individuals that are trained psychiatrists, or which I'm always say the wrong one. Which one is the one that goes out? Not the one that prescribes medication, but the other one.
Therapist.
Therapist.
Let's go on therapy. Yeah, it's easier. It's easier that way.
Mental
They're
counselor,
therapists.
trained mental
So
counselor.
if they're psychiatrists, they can prescribe medicine. If
Right.
they're just therapists, then they can just deal with your talk
Right.
to you.
So I want to make sure I say the right thing. But Durham has actual, yep, there we go, has a program. Their safety office has been full effect for 3 years. They just now started a pilot where they have a team of people go out. If you're having a mental crisis, the phone call goes into 911. If you fall into a crisis, the 911 will automatically know who to contact. Just like if you call 911, if you need medical help, they send you an ambulance or the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
If you need help with the police, they send the police. So with them, their safety office, they'll send out a team that will respond to your mental crisis. And I've sitting back and I've actually listened and watched a couple of the videos and see how Durham is leading the way when it comes to this. And I think that is something that every single community should adapt, is to have a team that's able to go out and deal with this, because it makes a difference to where you can't send, like, for example, like what someone was saying before, you can't always use a hammer to fix things.
No.
Some things you got to use a screwdriver. Sometimes you got to use glue gun. Sometimes you got to use a staple gun. You can't just use a hammer for everything.
No.
And I think that's one of those things that we run into, is the people with the entitled type attitudes. There's and all of the above. It doesn't matter if they're homeless, in a power position, or rich.
Mm-hmm.
It is a mental block that allows them to be that way.
That's true.
Well, and I'm looking at Durham, since you had brought it up. They just if you Google them, they have 6 homeless shelters listed right off the bat. If you Google most cities, they don't have that many homeless shelters listed right off the bat. So that right there is an indicator that they're doing something differently. And then not only that, they have day shelters. Do you realize that most people get put out during the day?
Yes.
They don't have somewhere to go during the day. So probably by the time we're coming around with our good spirits and goodwill, they done been out on the street since 4 in the morning. I think they have to get out as soon as the sun rises.
Feel like 8 o'clock, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and then it's like they're gonna be, when you talk to them, it's already the heat of the day. When you talk to them already the cold of the day, they may not have mental health issues. They're just tired and burnt out. Because if you think about it, having a day shelter would calm them down even more. And you would get more people to come through when you have stuff, and you will get more people willing to receive the help that they need. The biggest problem we have is there used to be a time when people got the proper training that they needed. But now they took that away for their reason, mostly money. But anyway, but see now it's like they don't have it. It's like every year we had mandatory training that we had to meet. Boom, 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 boom. And that taught us to know how to respond to different situations.
Right.
If a policeman don't know how to respond to a mental health, then they should have training to do so. If this person don't know how to deal with it, everybody, if you are in a business, there should be training, formal training for you to handle these different situations, because you have to change with the times. The problem is people don't want to change.
Right.
They don't want to change. They want to stick to what they know now, which is entitled attitude. If I say yes to this change, then maybe I can't get over like I used to, or maybe I can't talk to people like I used to. But you need to understand that the attitude will either get you cussed out or knocked out, because everybody's not going to turn the other cheek when it comes to your attitude. Everybody not going to just walk off, because you just like you think you having a bad day, somebody else could. You just picked the wrong time and the wrong person. You can be counting stars before you know it.
Well, maybe too, what can be looked at as well is when you're volunteering, because remember, some of the volunteers, I volunteer with people who've had bad attitudes about volunteering too. Maybe there needs to be some basic 101s that are gone over before these individuals, because again, these same entitled people could be going out here and going, I'm volunteering my time, and start feeling some type of way. I've learned not to take anything personal. That's not, if I'm going to volunteer, I don't go into it with, I'm going to be offended by whatever happens, because I'm not homeless. I've been for hot water without for 3 weeks now. And you would think that my whole life was crumbling, right? And it had me in a bad attitude because I'm having to boil water. All right. But imagine not having a place to boil the water or put it.
Right.
That's, you know what I mean? So, but I'm still able to have a rational thought because I'm not completely homeless. I'm just without water until I can get hot water, until I can get an appointment. But what I'm saying is, in that, it taught me to be grateful because I have a grateful mindset. So when I start even looking, and I know what we're saying about the mental illness, but what about the mental illness of the people who are going to volunteer?
Right.
Everybody don't need to.
Right. No, everybody's not designed. You're
right.
Yeah. I mean, like I look at like when I look back when we were homeless, and the people that helped us out, you can tell that they had some type of training that we were exposed to. What happened? What'd she say?
She was calling her son. She didn't think we heard her though.
Oh, sorry,
y'all. But that's one of those things to where when we learn that when people are real, yeah, you're absolutely right. You can't just go out there. And I think that's the problem with Fayetteville is there's like I said, you got 2,000 something different nonprofit organizations. Out of that 2,000, you only got maybe 100 that are active. So then let's look at the actives, because like one of the things, like one of the biggest things I know that my company is going to do is we're going to start up training programs.
Yes.
To start to help some of these people, because you can't just up and go out here and deal with people. You got to have some type of training just so you understand exactly how to you can't take stuff like what Tish said, you can't take stuff personal. It's like me, I look back when you're in survival mode, like see me, it's like, okay, 5-finger discount. It was normal for me to go into the store and steal something. Every time I went to the store, I stole something.
Right.
That was the norm. Now that it took me almost 2 years to break out of that mode of my mindset that I always have to do this.
Yep.
That is, it's like when you're in survival mode, you can't just turn it off. It's like it's programmed in you. You have to reprogram yourself in order to. So when you go through a homeless spell, and we were only homeless for 3 years, so it took almost that same amount of time, or in some cases, for some people, it takes double that amount of time just to get out of that survival mode.
Yep.
And I think that's one of those things to where, and then I look back, and I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. It's like all that stuff that what I went through, and then going through the stuff in the military, and then going into the combat zone and dealing with that PTSD. I had a mental breakdown in Korea, and when I had that mental breakdown in Korea, it took me 8 months to get back to normal. So you're looking at all that stuff, because my therapist sat back and told me that, wow, you had gone through all this stuff in your life, and you're just now having a mental
breakdown. Yep.
So those are things that people have to understand, is that it's not as simple as going out and giving somebody a hot dog and think you're doing something. Like what Stacey said earlier, you got to be able to follow up. You got to be accountable for what you're doing, because what you go out and do, you might be changing the mindset of individuals in the wrong way. Because when you're in survival mode, you're adapting to what people put in front of you.
Yes.
And
that's why if the stuff is made clear up front that for you to receive these services, it's a level of accountability that's going along with this. These are the checks and balances. It's no different than the parent that's the lenient parent and the parent that's the strict parent. The lenient parent may think that the kids love them better, but in reality, those children end up respecting and loving that parent who gave them structure more.
Right.
Because with that structure they felt safe, security, because you always knew that as long as I followed A, B, C, D order, these are the results that I'm going to get. So my thing is, I think we've gotten too loose with just throwing everything out here and giving people stuff and not setting a standard or a presence up front. So do they really develop entitlement attitudes, or have we set it up to be that way because there's been no accountability? It's the same thing if you think about your children. We set them up to have entitlement mindsets if we don't set checks and boundaries with it. So if I'm in a mental state and I'm not setting checks and boundaries, how do I get that person back to the other side to reality without checks and balances and proper guidance in place? I think, Chris, when you talk about the temperament or getting the people, the leaders, I think some of us have gotten twice or three times removed with how bad things are.
Right.
Because most of us are not in the areas. We see the people, but it's not in our face. We drive in our garage, we don't see it. I think we've got to go out and solicit, like we do with everything else, people to help. I think more people would be willing to help if they knew they were doing it in a structured environment.
Right.
Yes.
But a therapist is not going to block out their day to come into chaos.
Right. Well, see, I think that's one of the biggest things, is that one of the reasons when I first started this back in September, one of the first things I ask is, why is everything on the down low? Right. Why is God like highlighting what's going on, what's taking place? I think that's one of those key things, is that I was like, y'all need to highlight what you're doing, because when they see people out here doing things for the community and they're being productive with it, then people see there's a need. People understand that they really need to get like, okay, we got a problem here. We have a problem. But when people, well, I don't want to show my work because I don't want to. Well, I mean, you don't have to show the people that you're helping. You can show what you're doing to provide the help. And I think that's the biggest problem that we're running into, is that some people are doing it because they don't want to be seen out there themselves. And that I don't understand that whole concept, but I'm starting to learn that people have their own agenda on why they're doing it.
Yes.
Some are doing it because it needs to be done. Some are doing it. And then one of the things the disconnect and what we've all been talking about is, we're going out, and like Marcel, we were saying, is we give this hot dog, and every other Thursday we're giving out this hot dog. What else are we doing to get them ready to move on to the next step? We have families on Bragg Boulevard. We have 20 families on Bragg Boulevard staying out of a motel. These 20 families, they're living out of this motel, pay $70 a night to stay in this motel. what are we doing? When we sat back and we asked those questions, the reason why they're living in a motel is because their credit score is bad. So what are we doing? And see, that's one of the things I like about the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army does have a program where it'll help a person. If you have bad credit, they'll help you.
Mhm.
They'll actually go through, they'll give you physical training, financial training to get you prepared. But the things that people have to do is that you can't just there's got to be a part, because one of the things I heard from from the city is that a lot of nonprofits are hurting the process.
Yes.
And I didn't understand it at first, and so I went and looked into what some of these nonprofits are doing.
Mhm.
Is you can't just go out and just do something,
Mhm.
or these churches that have these
One
community
or two
outreach.
times.
You
Yeah.
can't just go out there and do something and think that's all that needs to be done.
Mhm.
We have to, like, again, we're only on level 1. Like, that's something that we just getting one thing.
I think he was using the credit as an example.
Right.
But my thing is, Chris, yes, some will, but you want quality over quantity. So you want to try to be consistent. If you have structure, you get consistency. You'll have therapists, those people that are willing to come if they see that your program offers structure. If I can say that I can volunteer the third Wednesday of each month, and on the third Wednesday, these things are structured, we've got to get back to that mindset. We're running stuff like the Wild Wild West. I worked for a nonprofit. I saw how it hurt the community because she was taking resources and misusing them in situations. And I worked for a nonprofit that was a therapy company. So it was a counseling agency. So my thing is, with no structure with resources, is just like not having the resources.
Right.
Because if you're not allocating them properly, then what's the point?
Well, see,
So these therapists are willing to help if we structure it in these nonprofits or in the community to say we need 20 therapists a month. And this is what these are the areas that, or the people that we need to come out and volunteer, because all therapists are not created equally either. Some
Right.
people only deal with children. Some people only deal with this. So you've got to make sure that when you're getting the therapist that's coming in, that they're not setting somebody back too. By not having the right people. Not everybody, again, everything's not always created the same.
And I think that's one of the things that, like, and what you said is one of those key things that I stress to people is, like, I talked to this company, that their primary focus is to help people with rehab, mental, and this company, this is what the owner told me, is that they got a grant that allows these individuals to get all the help they need. They were excited. They put the word out there. Do you know the other companies that worked in their same field silenced them because they were going to lose money because of what they were doing?
Yep.
That is
because of no structure.
But see, no, it's not. Hello, Councilwoman Brenda McNair. Hello, how you doing?
But see, also when you mentioned the Salvation Army, Mario, I was in a meeting where I live, he said, all of these people opening all these additional nonprofits, why not band together and make what we have stronger and more reliable? Because they have the resources. They can help. If you're willing to really help, instead of saying they don't do it the way I want to do it. Again, entitlement.
Right.
Some people that are coming in to help have an entitlement mindset, and it hurts the process too. I would rather go band together with a Salvation Army that has the resources that can carry it all the way through than to keep opening all these different nonprofits.
Right.
And we're chasing our tails like a dog.
And I think that's the problem. Like, one of the problems that I came when I talked to the Chief Braden, and he showed me, and he was the first one that pointed out to me. He says all these individuals in our community want to help the community, but they don't want to work together.
Right.
And that is the thing that bothers me the most, is that when they got this faith, what's called is faith in action. Faith in action is they have three key points throughout the city, one on Bright Boulevard, one on the Merck, and one on Cedar Creek. And what the agenda was, what the goal was to be able to rotate to these three locations where majority of the homeless are at. And the goal is to provide the exact same resources for each and every location. Well, what I found out just working with it for the first couple of the first 3 Thursdays, is that people want to do their own thing.
Right.
And to me, it's like, okay, if you have, and this is the thing that I love about Faith in Action, is in Faith in Action, it's a consolidation of all the above. We had the police there for force protection, security. We had people there who were mental counselors. We had people there that, like, if you was a let's say drug addict and you need assistance, there was someone there to assist you with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so you had all these, but then you had the churches there. They were providing the meals and everything and so forth. So you had a consolidation of different people there to support. Like, we show up, and the thing is, the key location was right. We had 10 families living in one parking lot, and then we had 20 families living out of a motel. Mm-hmm. So we went to an area where we are needed at. We don't go and establish ourselves in one location and know it's hard for them to get there to that location. So it's like Stacy. I mean, I'm gonna tell you this: Stacy, she converted her vehicle into a portable shower and laundry.
Yep.
So she would go to where they were at, and she would provide showers, let them take showers. Like, think about, I mean, I look back when we were homeless as children, to be able to take a bath or take a shower, that was an extreme luxury item. That, I mean, people don't understand when stuff like that is like, so the stuff that she was doing, that's why, I mean, when I saw the stuff that she was doing, it's just like, it blew my mind, because who takes their personal POV and converts it into where I'm going to go out and give you a shower and I'm going to wash your dirty clothes for you while you're taking a shower? That's what I say, is that Fayetteville has a lot of great people trying to do great things, but we have to understand that there is a system that we need to develop to help these people. We can't just keep feeding them and providing them the basic needs. Yeah. We have to bring them back into society.
Structure works.
Well, and the thing is, like you were talking about with the showers, like we went to a meeting here, and this is the entitlement mindset, thinking of this. The lady said we need volunteers to help run the showers in the stations, right?
Right.
Very clear. We need volunteers that can come in, help run the showers in the stations. This lady, I was working with her, oh, we're going to go set up a table and offer these people jobs. That lady didn't say nothing about no jobs right now. Mm-mm. They need volunteers to help run the showers in the stations. They need gloves. They need hats. When these people are out here saying what they need, stop thinking about what you think you want to do to help and listen to what the need is. Right. That's the other thing we do that's wrong. We get it in our minds. If Stacy's running a shower station, she needs people to help facilitate those shower stations.
Right.
She don't need you out here on another agenda. And I think that's another thing too. We got to think, if we're seeing this and we're not homeless, imagine the people that the homeless people come across that's mishandling what they need to. You see what I mean? So again, I'll go back to structure. If y'all get these organizations structured, Mario, I love you. I love what I see you doing in the community. But the reason why a lot of people in the background is, look at, since you've been in the forefront, how much ridicule and stuff you've had to go through just for trying to help your own way, instead of someone letting you do what you feel you're being led to do, is being met with resistance because it's different than what they thought you should be doing.
Right.
And I think that's another thing we've got to get away from. I can't tell Mario what he was told, the vision he was given to help. I can't ridicule him for that. I can't ridicule for Chris for his opinion on here tonight. I think we've got away from just simply respecting each other and being able to come together, even though we may not agree with everything.
Well,
We can agree to disagree, but we all agree we're here trying to do one common thing.
well, see, and if they're structured, then you say this is the goal. What is the goal? We want to, for this week, we want to feed the homeless. Okay, it's all about trust. Okay, you get them to come there, just like Mario using the faith in action. Okay, you come to Rayford Road, you come to the Merc, you come to Ramsey Street. Okay, you building that trust. So see, then you can throw that little curveball in there. You know how before we deploy, you have the medics,
Right.
psychiatrists,
Right,
the
right.
psychiatrists, everybody in there at one time.
Yep.
Okay, then see, since you've been consistent, since you did structure, like you said,
Mhm.
and you've been consistent, they might say, well, you know what? Eric might say he do need to kick this substance abuse
Yep.
out. Okay, well, you can go talk to Tisha. She handling substance abuse. Okay, well, alcoholism. Well, you can go talk to Sally. And since you built up that trust, they're willing to go do it. But we got to have these systems in place, because how many times have they been told something and it wasn't followed through and it wasn't the truth?
Yep.
They don't
Nobody
trust.
showed
They don't
up.
trust.
Yep.
So they get them a hot dog and they go about their business. But you got to but see, what we have to do is don't tell them what we're doing. We got to have it already in place.
Mhm.
So when they come up there, that's shock and awe. Okay, well, you know what? They got this. What am I going to do it? The structure is not there. Everybody's against each other. And
Mhm.
if there's structure there, then the structure is going to be standard operating procedure, what you should do to be able to do this. And then everybody come together, you can fix it. You can end it. You can put a dent into it. But as long as we're at odds with this consistent attitude, well, Mario, I don't like what you're doing. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing
Right.
like this. No, you work off the goal, not what you think to do. What is the goal? What are you trying to do? That's what you work off of.
Every third Wednesday, every third Thursday, this is what we're going to be doing. Every third
Consistent,
Wednesday,
right.
we're going to have a mental health, an AA counselor, or this or that,
Mhm.
whatever you're going to have it there every third Thursday. We plan out calendars for a whole year when we work somewhere. So
Mhm.
if you're in a nonprofit, why don't you have these things planned? That's the part that was behooving me. Like, okay, you've got this great idea, you've gotten the resources to allocate these things, put it in place where I know that I may not want help this week.
Right.
I
And
may not feel like I need, but if I keep coming and I see this therapist, there's a therapist
Same
there
stuff.
eventually I'm gonna say, you know what? I might have not been, and then you start seeing your other homeless friends turn their lives around, because that's a
Right.
community.
Mhm.
All of those people are connected in that community too.
And I
And
think
they start seeing the results, then you get
Right.
people coming in and they're more interested. That's what I was saying. It's gotta be consistent where it can be planned.
And I think
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing. That is the biggest piece to me. It's hard for me to sit back and see what's going on in our community. Here it is. You have the Fayetteville Police Department, who actually has a template of what should be done. They're providing they're going out here, the drug addicts, the mental illness, the ones that need to be aid, the ones that need finance. They're providing all these resources. When we go out and do our faith in action, all these resources are available. And that's why I say it's like, okay, but then guess what? Here it is, the Fayetteville Police Department is leading the charge to take care of our homeless population, but then they're getting beat down by their own council members
Bingo.
that are trying to make themselves look like they are on top of the world. That entitled
There you go.
attitude.
Yep.
And see, that's the part that bothers me. So when I'm out here and I had like people who are not seeing what I see are going to come after me and say, "Oh, Mario, you're not doing this. Oh, Mario, you need to just shut up and leave the councilman." No, I'm not
Yep.
going to shut up, because I see the whole picture of what's going on. Fayetteville Police Department's out here they're not just doing it just so they can get credit for doing things for the community. They're out here faithfully. When I say Sergeant Caldwell, when she shows up, it's like you can see her heart is in it. She's the point of contact. She comes out here and she goes out of her way to make
I
sure.
met her. Yeah, she's
It's like so when someone says, Mario, oh, look, I'm talking from experience. I can care less what people say about me. I can care what they say to me. because I'm out here and I see what's going on out here in our streets. All these people, and I'm gonna call them out. All these want to be extremists out here, yelling and screaming, using race as a way to tear our city apart. They're not out here helping these people.
Yep.
They're not out here doing nothing for these people. These people are black, white, poor. It doesn't matter what race they are. They're all out here. They're all out here doing their best to support our community. But then you got these idiots gonna run in here and they want to make themselves look good because on Monday nights they're gonna go in there and say something like they're really doing something for the community. Please, they need to go sit their sorry asses down and let the real people do their job. And that's where I'm so fed up and pissed off at these individuals, because right now they're entitled because they're black power. I mean, you know what? Go somewhere with that stupid shit. I mean, I'm getting to the point now where it's gotten to the point where they want to come out here and throw race out there just because they're trying to start a war or because they had a bad run-in their lifetime, so they're trying to get revenge. They're not out here doing anything for the community but making things worse.
Right, because how many of them have asked us, Stacy, what do you need to run your showers and laundromats? Why are we spending so much time bickering? Because everybody has their own agenda, and they feel entitled, right? So why are we not asking, what do you need? What do you need to make this consistent? What do you need? That's to me what the meeting should be about, right? Not all this who shot Jane and because I'm black, I'm not getting this. We all black, we brown, we orange, we green with polka dots. And race is gonna always be a situation. How do we move past it?
And that's where I got to the point where these individuals have this entitled attitude to where they think that because they went out and they protest one good time that they can come out here and dictate to how the rest of the city should be. Those individuals get a life. Okay, the protest is over. We got people out here that need help. Protesting is not going to help nobody. Get out here and do the work.
If you do something after you protest, but if all you're going to do is hold up your picket sign and go back home and put it in your garage.
I mean, because you look at all those people, it's just like you look at all these crazy people out here that are protesting, right? How many of them show up actually to vote? None of them. Probably maybe 10% of them. But they want to come out here and they want to dictate how the town should be ran. But you don't vote. Go sit your happy little ass down somewhere until you learn how to vote.
But even the people who don't vote, Mario, even they don't vote and they're putting their mouth where their money is and at least coming in the community and helping.
But they're not. That's the problem, is that these entitled mindsets, they're not doing nothing but running their little mouths trying to start a war.
Thing
is, their comfort zone is they want people protesting in the streets because then they will look effective. Then they will they're not doing nothing for this community. These individuals that show up on Monday night to run their little mouth are not doing not a damn thing for this damn community. And I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna keep saying it, is that they're worthless as hell.
Well, and Chris just made a good point. He said maybe we need a list of actual needs and then any nonprofit or persons can help. And so maybe that's something that can be looked at as well, because like Stacy has the mobile shower and laundry. So does she need detergent? How often does she need that donated? Does she need help? Like, those are the conversations that need to start being had so that y'all can pull it together. And then what y'all are doing that's positive will overshadow all of those people that are just running their mouth. Because after a while, you got to either put up or shut up.
Right. And see, that's the problem is, and that's why I call myself a community coordinator. I don't call myself an activist, because these sorry ass activists that we have here, these wannabe activists we have here in the Fayetteville community are worthless as hell. They might as well be, they're not even activists, they're extremists, because they were ready for things to be torn up and destroyed versus doing anything positive for our community. You got a damn councilman in here constantly causing problems and issues just so he can look good in front of the black people. That's all he talk about. When you listen to these individuals, it's about the black people. We need to protect the black people and the brown people. Okay, what are you doing for them damn homeless people that are out there that are all the same color? You're not
They
doing a
black and
damn thing.
brown. Yeah.
So that's why I say it got to the point where these extremists that we have in our community, they need to be called out.
Mm-hmm.
If it was up to me, every single last one of them need to be locked up, because they are the worstest thing for our society is to have these individuals claiming that they're community leaders, but all they're doing is tearing up our community.
But you know how they're getting in the situations to have that time to tear up the community is going back to what we were saying, no accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if y'all start redirecting those conversations to be, and that's where the problem's coming in, because you're coming in and you're saying, you're calling it out, and then you're having a solution for what you're calling out. Remember, light and darkness can't dwell in the same place.
Right.
So if y'all get together and start, like listing this stuff out, getting stuff organized, blocking out the negativity, then again, light is going to overshadow their darkness, and people in the community are going to start to see, all this person been doing is blowing smoke up our butts.
Right.
Because now these people are putting their money where their mouth is, and then it just cancels those negative people anyways. But as long as you give them that energy, then they're going to keep on feeling entitled and dispersing the negativity.
Long as everybody, as long as everybody not together, they're gonna thrive.
They're gonna thrive.
Exactly.
That's why I asked that question. I asked that question today. Why would a leader want a hostile environment? Why would a leader? Because they thrive off of that. And that's one of the things I've learned. I learned that one of the things that these individuals do is, back when George Floyd, when those protests were going on, they made a name for themselves from that protest. So because of that protest, they were able to get themselves on the map. What they try to do is they try to recreate that moment all over again, just so they can feel important. And so anytime and the thing is, these same 6 individuals, I call them the Notorious 6. Every time something happens, they're the first ones to go in and attack the Fayetteville Police Department on their Facebook page. We want accountability. We want this. You ain't doing nothing, but you coming. And this is what kills me. If all you're doing is you come in on Monday, you run your mouth, and then you go back and sit back on your butt, or better yet, you go out here and make these fake protests just because you want to feel like you are critically needed for the community. I'm gonna let you know now, boo boo, you're not needed for our community. You're tearing our community apart. These individuals need. And the thing is, I have to learn God will deal with them, and I don't need to waste my time and energy on them. God had a way of dealing with one of these individuals already. Look what's going on in the news. What just happened? Gina Hawkins just came back, and she did that settlement just to make a point. Everyone knows she could have got a lot more money, but she came back and said, look, y'all keep messing with me. This is what I could do to you. And so these same petty, and that's what I say is, now this little petty little individual that got caught up in this loss or this little settlement thing, now he's out here pretending that he's all this, he's all that. Guess what? You just got touched. And that's what happens when you go out here and you're falsifying who you really are. The truth always come out. Always. Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of like, I've stopped wasting my time with these individuals because it's got to the point now they feel like they're entitled because they did great things during the George Floyd thing. Guess what? How many years ago did that happen? 3 years ago?
About 3.
About 3 years ago, right? So why are they trying to recreate this moment all over again?
Because people thrive in misery and negativity.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to y'all, it's awesome that you guys are taking the time to get into the community and you see a system that's working. And that's what I'm saying. It's going to be resistance because it's, like Eric said earlier, change.
Right.
So anytime it's changing the way that, using the black card or whatever you want to call it for everything, now we're using logic and reasoning. Well, if you don't know how to apply logic and reason, then you're going to be offended. And if you've been lying, you're going to be afraid about being exposed, because we can all get on here and have transparent, open conversations because we're not liars.
No.
So it doesn't matter if any of you all oppose something that I say or someone in the chat opposes or don't agree with me. I'm speaking my truth. You're speaking your truth. So nobody can cancel you for doing the best that you know how to do and coming into a place where you can learn more from each other. And that's where the respect is coming in, Mario, for you being honest and transparent. You're not saying you're being right all the time.
No.
You're trying to learn, and you make it very clear in every post. I'm trying to learn. You're opening the dialogue for people to communicate. But again, in order to change a community, you got to get in it, and you got to make sure that you're being straight and narrow, so that, because listen, most politics, people are looking for dirt on you so that they can try to puppet you and control the narrative.
Right.
When they can't find that dirt on you, then they try to come after your character.
Right.
Yep.
So you already know what time it is. And so that's why I said you guys got a good platform. I would just run this thing. You're getting connected with the right people. I would continue to get connected with the right people. And y'all are going to be able to start turning things in 2024. I guarantee you, by the time we have this conversation, revisit this next year, this time, structure, accountability, it'll be a whole different conversation about what's going on in the community.
And I think that's one of the biggest things about entitled people. That's one of the biggest issues that we see, is that entitled people want chaos.
Yep.
They want things to be unstructured. They want people to be lost and confused. They want people to be misled into the wrong direction. They don't want things to get. I mean, like I said, I look at like the Fayetteville Police Department. I like a lot of reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because of Chief Braden. If it wasn't for Chief Braden showing me the stuff that he showed me that night, I probably would have never known all this stuff exists in Fayetteville. That to me means a lot, because he humbled himself to come and speak and ask for someone else to help with this situation. Then he reached out to other individuals in different groups. He didn't have to do that as a chief of police. And what these individuals want to do, okay, just like driving while I'm black, okay. How long has that been going on in Fayetteville now? Why are we bringing up stuff that seems like we can't come a solution to it? So again, they're finding stuff because they don't want people to come together. They don't want people to work together. So they keep throwing stuff out there. Let's throw this rare meat out there. Let them go crazy all over again.
Yep.
These individuals, I have no respect for none of them. And I mean, and I promise you, 2024, you're going to see my tactics completely change up on how I'm going to handle and deal with these individuals. I ain't going to go out and do nothing extreme, but I'm going to let them know that Mario Hardy's here. And so this entitlement that they feel, and then one of the things that I hate the most is people from Fayetteville feel that they are entitled to have more say-so from people that are not from Fayetteville.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Entitlement. It don't have to make sense. It's entitlement. It's entitlement syndrome.
And that's something that I've never understood, that entitlement is like, okay, both of my sons were born here in Fayetteville. I've spent most of my military career here in Fayetteville. I was not born and raised in Fayetteville, but I'm a part of this community. But you have these individuals, like the two people that attack me on social media. They attack me because they're from Fayetteville and I'm not.
But how do you know they're from here? See, people see entitled people are also lying people. It's all the same category. So it's just one of those things where what don't make sense actually makes sense, because they don't have anything else on you. They looked in your record, they didn't find nothing. They looked locally and nationally, couldn't find nothing. So what do they have left? Your character. So your character has not been jeopardized. So the only thing they got is you weren't born here. Think about it. Is that all you got to come up with? Then you doing your job.
But that's the thing that I've noticed over the years, is that this is crazy entitlement, that if you are from Fayetteville, you have more say-so than someone who's not from Fayetteville.
No.
I've heard it. And the reason why I say I've heard it, I sat back and through all the different, like when I first retired from the military, I supported many different candidates that were from Fayetteville and not from Fayetteville. And one of the things I constantly keep hearing, well, we ain't gonna vote for her because she's not from Fayetteville. That was Val Applewhite when she was running. Every person that ran, if they were from Fayetteville, it was a whole different category. But if you're not from Fayetteville, you had a hard time dealing with certain people because they would use that against you. But that's that entitlement people have. Well, I'm because thing is, like you said, they can't find nothing else. So they find that one thing. Well, he's not from Fayetteville, or he didn't go to E.E. Miller High School, or he didn't go to Douglas Byrd High School, or he didn't go to 71st High School, or he didn't
Overrated.
So it's like,
all that is overrated. Listen, you tell them this, Mario. Say, I don't know nobody's name, say or so. My name is Mario.
I like that. I'm gonna use that one. I got to use that one. That is no longer yours.
So we got us another one for tonight. I don't know nobody name, say or so, but you know your name. And
Right.
so you get to say and so whatever you want to when you're doing what you need to do. Not what you want to do, but what you need to do. Yeah, there's a difference.
Needs over wants.
And I think that's one of the things, though, is when you have entitled people, they're going to find something. They're going to find, when they can't find anything else to justify their actions, they're going to go out and find something to justify why they do what they do.
Well, Chris, you're right. A good idea, good platform. It will be accepted. It may be met with resistance, but it will be accepted at some point in time. Nobody changed the world without a little resistance.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and a great philosopher's name, if there's no enemy within, then you can't fight the enemy outside of you. So you've tackled your demons, and therefore, what better person than to be able to tell someone else how to grow and go from a place that they're in? So, and that's the platform. I've never been homeless. I can't speak from an actual, I understand. You have a platform, Mario, that was created not by choice, but by the cards that you were dealt. So you continue to use that platform because you are an example of how somebody can go from homeless, helpless, to helping and loving other people out of their situation. So I can sit here and talk all night, but I've never been homeless. I've never went without a meal. So I don't know what that feels like. So when you can go in and you can speak to somebody on that level and they can see you outside of themselves, because remember, you're the enemy within. When you're in that kind of situation, you're fighting against yourself. This is how you come out of it. There's no playbook, but I'm an example. A lot of people can't say that, and that's intimidating to a lot of people in and of itself, because they want to be able to bring a person out of something, because if I did it, you can do it. But you ain't really been where that person is at. How many of us can really say on this call that we've been homeless besides you?
Yeah.
So they say in order to be dateable, you have to be relatable. Well, let's change that up. In order to be in the community, sometimes you got to be able to reach people like that too. Chris says he's been homeless. So 2 people.
I don't relate to the homelessness per se, but the missing of the meals and the survival mode, that's been me.
See, I haven't even had to do that.
It was because of this one right here. I was able to let go because
Yep.
It's a whole different ball game going from survival to living. See, living and survival, totally different things. Surviving, and then you got to turn that switch off, doing it for so long, that's hard. Like Mario said, sometimes it takes double the time he was doing that to get back to normal.
But y'all can't, listen, y'all let your test become your testimony. That's the strength. How many men are out here really telling their testimony? We as women are always running our mouth about what we think we've been through. I don't hear men. I'm just saying we love to talk about a testimony. Oh, we gonna tell it. We go listen. Listen, we gonna sing that thing to the highest. You let us get in a situation. Oh, we telling everybody. You know.
True.
All right. But y'all don't always have a platform. And maybe that's what's needed too, because people need to be able to see people that look like them, that they can relate to, that they can see hope. I can't get hope in some rich person telling me their story.
Yes.
And especially if they're not giving back. I can only respect those that give back in a way that's sincere and genuine, because I know that those people mean what they're doing. To give your time is the most selfless thing that you can do.
Absolutely.
I can go drop money in it, but to give my time,
yes,
that's selfless.
Yes.
And time is, and I'll say this, time is more than money. And then one of the things, I'm glad you said that, because I forgot to post this earlier, is when you're doing something, your motivation should be everything else but money. If your motivation is money, then you're doing the wrong thing. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people need to understand, is that if you're out here doing something because you're doing it because of a dollar bill, and that's your only motivation, then most likely you're on the wrong track anyways. And you need to wake up and understand what's going on, because that's one of the things, because even to this day, I have a hard time accepting money from people, because back then I used to have to beg for money. As a child. It's hard for me to accept money from anybody. Even when I'm running a business, and I'm like, I refuse to charge people. I refuse to charge people so much money, because I'm thinking about everything. I mean, like when I sit back and I think about someone getting married, I think about myself. I think about when me and Kathy first got married, how difficult it was for us to establish ourselves, to get things going. So to me, I can't charge somebody $2,000 to be the DJ. I have a hard time accepting that. It's like sometimes, and then I'll even sit time out to listen to a person's situation, because I'm more like thinking about, okay, I don't want this person to fail in life. I don't want this person to fail in their marriage, because what's the number one killer for most marriages? It's
finances. Yep.
So I think about all these things, but see, and that's why I say business minded. I'm probably not the best when it comes to the money, because I just like, here it is. Someone would say, well, Mario, we want to pay you $1,000 to come out and speak. I'm gonna do it for free. Why didn't you pay me $1,000? I mean, that's my mindset, is because my motivation is not money. My motivation has never been money. And I think that's one of those things that, like when you're in survival mode, you're still, in a sense, you're really not thinking about money primary. You're thinking about, okay, a roof over my head, being comfortable, and what needs to be done. Because I know when we're out there begging at the gas station for money, all we're thinking about, okay, if we make enough money, we're going to be able to stay in a hotel or motel tonight.
Yep.
If not, we're going to have to sleep in the car.
Yep.
So those are things that, like, money should not be your motivation to do anything, especially when it's coming to help people. If you're trying to help people and you're focusing on money, you're not going to be able to help them.
No,
or a notoriety, because those people may not tell you thank you.
Right.
Don't get bellyache because you feel like someone doesn't have manners. Yeah. I think manners are out the window when you're just trying to get your basic needs met. And I think that Chris, I wonder, he said that he's been homeless across the city of Fayetteville, and that's why he does what he does. I think as you guys come, and someone should be reading y'all's bio, or y'all should be telling your story, because I'm telling you now, you can get a whole lot more accomplished. People can, if they can see themselves in you, as they're needing help. I'm a Black woman. I can't tell a Black man how to be a Black man. And I definitely can't tell a Black man that's dealing with being homeless or something, because he sees me as a Black woman and sees that, hey, I can't provide for her. I was unable to provide for my family. So I'm very careful when I do go and volunteer, how I handle those brothers and sisters that are out there as well, because I'm there in true form to help, but I don't know what they're going through. So I don't ever go and make them feel like I feel sorry for them. The whole time I'm there, I'm cutting jokes with them like it's somebody on the street.
Mm-hmm.
I don't treat them like they're homeless.
Yeah.
I treat them like they're anybody else, because the last thing I want you to do is feel like I'm coming in there and I'm better than you, because I'm one paycheck away from being exactly where you are.
And you got families right now, they're in the break. Right now, they're in the process of they're going through this because guess what? And this is the thing that hurts when you're out here and you see what's going on. You really like, it's sad because here it is. You have this situation, gentrification. I'm gonna say that word. I know Val Applewhite tried to tell us years ago it was coming to Fayetteville. It came in and it's destroying people's lives. Is you have these people that have been living in their house, these different houses, these different trailers for years, paying $300 to $500 a month. They condemn all these places, and now guess what? Now the basic living to live in an apartment is going to run you anywhere between $675 to $800. So if you were used to paying $300 to $500, and then guess what? While you were living that $300 to $500, you didn't take your credit score seriously. And so now, like when you stayed in a trailer, most of the time you didn't have to have a credit score. Most of the time, all you do is have to have the money. The way things have changed now, times have changed. You got to have a good credit score. And so you have all these families are now finding themselves living in motels because someone didn't take time to train them on the importance of a credit score.
That and the prices went up without adjusting the minimum wage. I couldn't think of it.
Right.
Just like Chris just said, inflation, and that's another thing that hit people. You can't. The minimum wage has to go up. You ain't provide nothing for $8 an hour. You ain't. I mean, that's. I mean.
Well, shoot. When you trying to survive, you ain't think about no credit.
Right. Well, see, that's just so is that thing right there, and I think that's why I'm so blessed. I did choose to go into the Army because the Army taught me about credit. I think if anyone's going to the military and you did more than 4 years in the military, you got a very good understanding of how important credit is. It became part of your career across the board. To where if you had bad credit, you couldn't get clearance.
Couldn't get a clearance.
Couldn't get a security clearance. So that in most cases that ended your career. So the military taught us that credit score is important, critical. What in today's society is like, and I'm gonna say it's our society is entitled. But they're not looking at what's right. If everything is going up, but minimum wage ain't moving, what are these people going to do? It's like you're setting things up. It's like everyone is like our society is setting people at the bottom up for failure. If you give them no room to survive, they're going to have to go out here and do things that they don't want to do. They're going to have to go out here and live a lifestyle they don't want to live. Because we're not doing anything. $7.25 is the minimum wage.
And
there's no way.
Attitude. I'm sorry.
There's no way the minimum wage it should be at $7.25.
No.
Especially if like
attitude, Mario. I'm sorry, it comes in as with people. The time and attitude comes in with the people that that has the money that feels like, oh, well, you know what I'm saying? You can afford, you're financially secure. So you're looking down on the $7.25 minimum wage people thinking that they just complaining whenever you have not even ever been in that situation.
And a good example, there was two good examples of the entitlement attitude. There were two people. It was Warren Buffett and what's the dude in Amazon? Jeff Bezos. They tried to call him like they was crazy to the point to where they just backed down and they ain't say nothing else. Warren Buffett said he can fix the deficit. He had a 10-year plan. Within a decade, there would be no more deficit, blah, blah, blah. You crazy, you old, you see now. Go hide under the tree. Jeff Bezos said, hey, we need to raise this minimum wage to at least $15 to even be competitive. UPS, Look at the money that they paying people for UPS now. They're trying to say you crazy for paying people that much money. It's like, well, why not? People got to live. People need their packages. Why not? Why not do that? And see, that's where the entitlement comes in. That when you trying to do something good or produce something good because they didn't come up with it or because they prefer chaos, that's gonna alleviate the chaos. We don't want that because we're entitled. We only thrive in chaos. So you crazy. That don't make no sense, Mario. Why you gonna wash clothes for free? That don't make sense. You should be charging them $200 a load. Where if they're homeless, how they gonna pay?
Right.
That's not my problem.
And they're never going to be able to fix their credit with 725.
No,
They're never going to be able to fix their credit.
no.
So that's why I say is that our society is becoming that they all have the entitled attitude towards life. Because like my thing is this: you take a school teacher, perfect example. You take a school teacher is the most critical part of our society, but they have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to live
and get all this financial debt to get an education just to
Right.
get a pay raise.
So here it is. People are entitled. Well, I don't look. I've heard people that they'll figure it out. That's not my job. Well, what do you mean it's not your job? It's like you are sitting here, and this is the thing I hate is you have all these people coming in here, and they're tearing apart Fayetteville. Okay, they're putting up all these apartments. They're doing everything, but they're not looking at the people that they're hurting in this community. You have people who have lived in a house for years.
Yes.
House is paid in full. You got older generations, their houses are paid in full. But guess what? Someone had a bright idea. Oh, we want to tear your house down and we want to build a parking lot. Okay. So here's $30,000 for your house, which you can't live off $30,000. The $30,000 that might get you to maybe 6-7 months.
That's it.
That's it.
So what people see, and that's what people when they throw these big dollar signs out here, people think all day long, man, that's like the best thing in the world. I want people to stop thinking like that. Take time out to look at how much money does it take to live 1 year.
Especially now. Woo.
Especially now. You got to be making at least $40,000 a year just to be just a little bit comfortable. Just a little bit. And that's the problem. You got a lot of people who have been in job positions, been working these jobs for 16 years and still ain't making $40,000.
40 ain't enough by the time taxes get to it.
So that's what
I said. The entitled people have just taken apart middle class. There's no such thing as a middle class family anymore.
No, either you rich or
really
you poor.
Not. And because the entitled people have taken that away by taxing us to death or putting the burden and responsibility of the community that lacks on the churches and your middle class to lower class people. We're the ones becoming responsible for the homeless population versus the people that have the money, because they'll get on the phone and do a telethon to beg us for money when they billionaires. I cannot make that make sense.
Exactly.
You're the billionaire, but because you feel entitled to be the billionaire, you don't give back, but you take from. It's a crab in a barrel mentality that we've adapted in America. And we just keep pulling each other. We could put all our resources together and do more. But if Mario's the only person using his resources, or Eric's the only person and Marcella using their resources, and I'm hoarding all my money, how is that helping all of us evolve? It's not.
And I think the thing is, what happens is entitled people will they'll use everything in their power to misdirect people and what the problem is. And that's one of the things is that one of the things that I stress to people is I had to show people, okay, if races exist, I'm the first one to the fight. I'll be the first one there to fight it. But when there is nothing that shows there is a direct pattern that it's a race issue, then we need to go back and look at what's going on.
Yep.
And that's what's going on, is that you have these individuals throwing out, like, everyone sees the problem. The problem is the entitled people are keeping people who are poor. They're making the whole society. It's not a race thing, and that's what people need to. This the race thing, and this is the problem that people need to. They need to grow outside their tunnel vision and see what it really is.
Yep.
It's the entitled people, the people with entitled type attitudes. It is what is holding us back, holding us.
Yeah.
And it's not a black or a white. I
It's
just
not
told
a black or
Marcella
white.
that last week. I called her last week and I was like, we don't have a race issue as much as we do the entitlement of the people who are rich feel like we're going to stay rich at all costs.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever want to be poor again. And so I'm going to do whatever I got to do to stay rich, which, kill, steal, destroy. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as I stay at this, I'm elevated at this level and you're down here, then everything's fine.
Yeah, y'all figure it out.
Y'all figure it out down there.
Yeah.
You got your people, like you said, Mario, in these positions that really could do something, and they're not, because they're not getting in the community and they're not heartfelt. It's a title, it's attention, it's whatever. They have an agenda.
And see, this is the thing that bothers me, right? When I sit back and I see when these individuals, these extremists that we have in our community, and they're talking about black versus white, race thing, and this and so forth. What my thing is this. I sit out there with Mr. Pringle. Mr. Pringle has been a very good leader on what's going on out here in this community. I sat out there with what he does is on Sundays, he'll designate a Sunday, he'll go out there, he'll feed the homeless. And we go out. I went out there one time and got a chance to sit down with him and work with him and his organization and the different nonprofits that were out there. I sat back and kept count of everyone that came through there based off of gender and race. Who do you think had the most people that came through that were homeless?
Was it white?
No.
Black.
60% were black males.
Yeah,
60% of the people that came through that line to get something to eat were black males. Blacks in general, if I conclude the females, it was almost 75% were black.
Yep.
What are we doing and the thing is, if people are talking race all the time, what are you doing about the black people that are homeless? What are you doing about anybody that's being homeless? And see, that's the problem, that we can't look at numbers or race because everybody's suffering, everybody's hurting. And when we're out there helping, it ain't just black people, it's all the above.
Oh, yeah.
It is the human race helping the human race.
Yeah.
So when
these human issue.
Yeah, and so these extremists that we have in our community that, we need to, it's a black and brown issue. And then when people, and this is one thing I'll keep saying this, you can't speak for all of us. You can't say the black race and this, no, you can't speak for all of us. And that's one of the problems that I have is that when people get up and first thing they say, well, we're looking out for the black and brown people. No, you're not. Because if you're looking out for brown and black people, there wouldn't be homeless people out in the streets.
Amen to that.
That's true.
Yep.
So you quick, and that's what I'm saying. But I have yet to see not one of these individuals, the 6 notorious, that claim they're out here trying to protect the black and brown. I ain't seen none of them out there doing what we doing. None. That's what I'm saying is that y'all go that boohoo mess that y'all keep trying to shove out to people. Y'all need to go sit your butts in the corner. Go put yourself in timeout or something because y'all ain't doing nothing for the community. They're not. They're tearing it apart. And for those people that want to sit here and support them, why? Because you're so blinded with rage because of race.
Yep.
But that's entitlement. That's that entitlement type of attitude that we have in our communities, in our society. And it's like, if you're not fighting for what they want, then you're wrong.
That's true.
But
This has been another barn burner right here.
yes, I know we're going a little bit over 2 hours too.
Yeah, we did
almost,
2 episodes. We did 2
yeah, we only like 2 long. We
episodes.
done did 3 episodes. We talking
Well, it was worth it though.
Yeah.
It was worth it. Anybody got any final thoughts?
No, I think, like I said, I think we kind of we started small, and then I want to thank Chris and Stacy because
Stacy.
they just like woof, like they brought it to life, because at first we started off, and then they brought in they brought in their input, and that's where the conversation really came alive. Because I know Chris, I know it's like I haven't met Chris, but he's doing a lot of great things for the community from what I can see on social media. He's keeping people informed. He has a couple of, like I said, I know one in particular called Fed Today. If you see it on Facebook, he's always putting information out. He's always making sure the community staying informed. And then, like with Stacy, I mean, if you don't know, Stacy was the one that went up to win the CNN Hero Award. She was nominated to represent, like technically she went up to represent her nonprofit on what she does for the community. And like her video, I'm telling you, for her not to have, like, her stepfather was in the military, but for her not to have a military background, I would swear to God, I thought she was military, because the way she handles things, the way she coordinates things, she has that mindset she has a very good organized mind just watching her work. And like Chris said earlier, I agree with him. If we had 50 of Stacy's, we wouldn't have any more problems in Fayetteville.
And I think that like my last words are, as long as we don't have that entitlement attitude, when we go out in the community to help people, the right agenda, we will already have that within our hearts and stuff like that. We're not going out there to make ourselves look better, because like you said, the reason why a lot of times a lot of people in the community is not helping is because there is an agenda. And they trying to, whatever they got, they trying to hold on to that for themselves.
Right.
So long as you don't have that entitlement attitude when you go out here to help people in the community, then that's going to be something that you're going to do, often. It's not just the show face. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's my thing. Entitlement attitude are selfish people. That's my.
For me, 2 things to fix, especially with this homeless thing: organization, and get it organized and come together. So then you do those 2 things, then the little throw the rock and hide the hand, the Notorious 6, they cease to exist. As long as everybody is not together, then they got a reason to pull out their slingshot or throw a rock. But once you get it organized, the arm go down, the slingshot disappear, and then they fade away. So we need to get it organized, and we need to stand together.
Yep, I agree. So this show, like, is she still there?
Yeah, I think so. She just got a camera turned off.
Yeah, okay.
Doing some of that's on right now.
Well, I think overall, like I said, this was a great show. Look, y'all brought the bad side of me, because I got kind of a little upset. Not even gonna say upset, but more, what's the word?
Passionate.
Yeah, a little passionate about. Because like normally stuff like this, it bothers me, because like right now, we have a lot of entitled people in Fayetteville, and I think that's what's hurting our community, is that there's too many entitled people, but they don't feel entitled to help. That is the problem we have, is they're entitled to the power, they're entitled to the wealth, but they're not entitled to help the people that need the help.
That's true. Yeah, there you go.
And I think that's one of the key problems that that entitled people who have entitled attitudes, is what's destroying our society. I mean, I hate to say it, but look at President Trump, the most entitled person I've ever seen in my life. So
yeah. Yes.
But again, this was a great show. I can't wait for us to talk about our next one.
Yes.
Which because next Tuesday that's after Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, the day after Christmas.
So I think we'll probably talk about, we'll open up some. There she is. She's back. We're trying to. So what's your last thoughts?
Oh, if we stop being entitled, we can solve the world's problems.
I just said, I
That's
just
the
said
best.
something like that.
That's the best way to say it. There.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the best way to say it. But again, this was a great show. Well, like I said, I guess we're gonna open up gifts, and then, like I said, well, I guess what we're gonna talk about is what we got for Christmas next Tuesday.
I don't want nothing for Christmas. I just want everybody to be healthy
Yeah.
and alive. You
Same
know,
here.
and that's it. I'll tell everybody, don't buy me no gifts. I'm good. I don't need nothing.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny because I told my wife. She asked me. I'm like, well, I said, shoot, I don't know. I don't need anything. I mean, it's
I don't
like,
need nothing. I'm
I
good.
mean-
I got everything I need right
I
here.
think our gifts for next. I think our gifts for next week, guys, is for us to see each other on the screen.
That's
gonna be
right.
our
yeah,
gift.
yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It'd be nice just to see each other after Christmas and
Yes.
chat with people.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right.
All right.
Take
well,
care of
look,
that cold too.
huh?
Yeah, I got a bad
Take
cold.
care
You
of
Yeah, I
guys.
that
can hear it. Yeah, I can hear it in
Yeah.
your voice. It's all up in your nose, right up in here. Ain't it?
Yeah. Look, children, them little germs bring home stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, guys.
All right.
All
All
right.
right.
Good
Well, look,
evening,
I know
everybody.
I will talk to. I'll probably see some. Well, no, maybe I won't see some of y'all. Well, y'all have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see y'all
Merry
after Santa.
Christmas.
We'll see y'all after Santa Claus leave.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Good night.